Welcome to the ACE Show. I'm so glad that you all are here. I always like to open up with a quote. This one's from Muhammad Ali, and he says, "Service to others is the rent that we pay for your room on earth." And I love that. And I love my Zig Ziglar quote too, right? You can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And that's what this ACE Show is really about. It's helping professionals succeed both personally and obviously professionally. And this is my chance to showcase experts, or what I like to call aces in the field, and leverage that knowledge to support you all in the community, those on YouTube, and just help you all kind of thrive and succeed in your professional and personal life. And I get the privilege of introducing a very dear friend of mine and a mentor of mine, Eric Plantenberg. Hi, Eric.
David, it's so great to see you. It's so great to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you for agreeing to this. I think we've got a lot to talk about. And for those of you who haven't met Eric, don't know who Eric is, you're like, who's this guy? Eric is the founder and the curator of the Abundant Living Retreat. He's the co-founder and chief, or he was the co-founder previously, and sales chief, or chief sales and marketing officer at Hum Kombucha. For those of you who have drink kombucha, it's one of my favorites. And not just because Eric's there, but yeah, it's a lot because Eric was there and I was there at the beginning of it, which is just cool. A co-founder of and CEO of Freedom Personal Development, husband, father of one boy, one beautiful girl, and really of the many things that I admire about Eric, is that Eric is a student. The best way he's a student of life, and it doesn't seem like there's a time that you're not continually working on yourself. He works on himself and challenges his own beliefs and his own ways of looking at the world. You know, from competing in Ironmans to climbing mountains, learning Arabic, which is so impressive, starting new companies, leading personal development workshops, to most recently becoming a master freediver, or close to master freediver, or at least on the path to that. Eric, again, is a mentor and really a big inspiration in my life. We've had a lot of really fun times together. And fun fact, there's so many fun facts, but this is something that most people cannot say even dream of doing. He summited Mount Everest. Now, he didn't just try to summit. He actually summited it and came back down healthy and safe, which is just amazing. And I hope we get a chance to talk a little bit about that. But before I jump into you, Eric, and I kind of get you rolling, I just want to let you all on the call know, or in this, video, be prepared for a fresh perspective. I hope you come in with an open mind, and you're going to learn a lot of great things. So, I hope you also have a willingness to take action on some of the things that Eric's going to share with you. He is just this fountain of knowledge and wisdom, I think, that belie his young age. So think about the ideas and strategies that Eric's going to share that can be applied to your own brand, your own business, and look for ways to improve it. And so with that, Eric, thanks again for being here. And I guess let's just get to know you. Would you mind just taking a moment, tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are now? Where were you from? Where do you live? Family, current occupation? Like, what's going on? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so life here happens in Bend, Oregon. My wife Sherry and I have 6 kids. We're a modern day Brady bunch. My boy and girl, and she's got 2 boys and 2 girls, so there's 6 of us. We have 5 grandkids, and that's really the center of our universe.
Grandkids, oh my God.
I know, there's 5 of them now, and there's more coming. Yeah, it's a party. So Sherry had her kids really young in life, and I had mine later in life. So we're the same age, but we've got a 20-year gap between the youngest and the oldest.
Yeah, okay. And yeah. I know Sherry too. I know Sherry back from high school days, so that's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's wild that you guys went to high school together.
Yeah, that's so
cool. So, we spend a lot of time. Most of my days are spent with kids, working on projects, or traveling and doing sporty things. I still love doing sporty things.
Yeah, that's I can't imagine that you won't continue to be that way your whole life.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. I have a ton of questions I'd love to get started. Yeah, okay.
Dude, I could just ramble on, but
let's go. In addition to being obviously a dear friend, I would consider you, like I said, a mentor of mine, and someone who's been a coach from when we worked together at Freedom Personal Development years ago. You've been a guide when I went on my own outside of that, even a colleague at times. And I'd be interested for our audience to know, who are some of your mentors, your coaches, your guides? Who are those people that you typically like to look to for guidance?
Yeah, so I think that this is such a great perspective right away. And that's one of the things I've always admired about you, David, is from when we first met, you were always talking about your coaches, the people you were learning from. And then, of course, you've mentored so many people throughout the course of your life, and you're doing it right now. And it's an amazing, for me, I think that this is one of the true gems of life, is the ability to learn from other people, and then the ability to take and integrate the things you've learned and then pass that on to other people as well. And this happens in many different environments. I mean, my first real mentor was my grandfather. I mean, I remember being so small on the farm. This was back in the Midwest. My grandfather had a farm in South Dakota. And from the time I was a little dude, like 2, 3 years old, I was being taught work ethic. I was being taught attention to detail, attitude, focus, things that were really important. And inside of that farming community and farming culture, there was just an incredible esteem for doing things right, for excellence, for connection, for community. Like, how good you were as a neighbor was an important part of identity. You wanted to be looked at as a good neighbor. When somebody needed something, they were there for you. And growing up in that sort of a culture really set my compass, so that when I got into sports later, my first coaches were really important. I still talk about the lessons that I learned on the hockey rink when I was 10 years old.
I didn't know you did hockey. Oh.
I did, yeah. I was a hockey player in Wisconsin my entire childhood, and I mean, what a great sport. You know, you have to learn strength and balance and teamwork, and how to get knocked down on your ass, and then how to get back up, and then how to win and how to lose. Lessons about focus and commitment and determination. And one of those lessons that I loved was, my coach said, and many coaches said this in hockey, that the last 5 to 10 minutes of your practice were more important than the first 50 to 55 minutes. It's like, you don't get to the end and then slow down. You get to the end and you heighten your focus. You heighten the amount of cardio output. You heighten your connection with your teammate, because that's when you're in that moment when you're fatigued or when you're losing your form. And those are the moments that really make or break. So this whole concept of mentorship and teamwork and being mentored and passing it along, it's been a lifelong pursuit of mine, something that I think it really defines everything that I'm able to do.
Yeah, I think that definitely comes across in your work, because you teach a concept, but then the next year you've expanded because you've learned something new and you add to that concept. If you ever have a chance to listen to Eric chat, I mean, just watch him from year to year, and it just grows and grows, and it's just so fun to watch. And actually, you were a bookseller too, and so we've had a chance to chat with a handful of our fellow booksellers, Nate and Ron.
Yep. These guys are amazing.
As a fellow bookseller, door-to-door bookseller, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment and ask you what your experience was. I think it was several summers. What was it like? And what were
Five.
5 summers. All right, 8 for me, right? What was it like? What are the biggest lessons you might have learned selling and leading students in selling, right? That was maybe the beginning of, maybe not, of your kind of leadership journey too.
Yeah, that was a big defining moment in my leadership journey. I remember, I'll never forget this. If you have a chance to interview Steve Roller on your podcast, he's a great one. So I'm 18 years old, and I'm at the group interview at the University of Wisconsin. And Steve Roller was sitting at the front of the room. He was a 22-year-old senior. And I'll never forget, I looked up at him and I watched how he communicated. I saw his eye contact, his ability to ask questions, to listen, to present. And he's just a great guy, like a genuine, kind, strong, smart. Like, I looked at him and I was like, I want to be just like that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be just like him. And I didn't even really know what I was signing up to do. It was much more of, this is what I'm signing up to be.
Okay.
And I wanted to be confident. I wanted to cultivate the ability to set a goal and achieve it, the ability to communicate clearly, to go to the unknown. I had no idea. I was 18 years old. I had no idea what we were going to be doing or what that actually entailed. And that happens. Many people listening to this, I'm sure, can relate. Maybe you're in that situation right now where you're embarking on something that you haven't done, that you don't exactly know how to do it, but you're going to figure it out along the way. And I think that that's really important. Anybody that thinks that they're going to get from A to a moment of greatness, whatever that looks like, without being confused, disoriented, falling on your ass, not knowing what to do, it's not the way that it works. Back to Muhammad Ali. I mean, Muhammad Ali is possibly, arguably, one of the greatest fighters, the greatest fighter of all time in some views. He and Mike Tyson never got to duke it out. But I mean, he absolutely had to deal with a lot of adversity, both in the ring, out of the ring, and that's the way of it. You don't get to a place of greatness without doing that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I always tell people, because also a children's book author, and I tell people that I'm going to be an overnight success in 10 years.
Right.
I go through a whole bunch of stuff to get those books out there, but that's awesome. Now, you have been through a lot of adventures. You talked a little bit about adventures. God, this is exciting because I've been lucky to have joined you on a multitude of these adventures, right? Whether we were going to compete in triathlons together in Bend or helping you train in preparation for Mount Everest. So I got to climb with you on Mount Rainier.
Mm-hmm.
That is a story. Scuba diving in the Red Sea with you, going to Egypt to support orphans. For whatever reason, you have these adventures that I just want to join you on. It's oftentimes you're like, hey, I'm going to do this. You want to do it? I'm like, yes. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it. What is it about all of these kind of adventures or trying these? I mean, many people would just be going like, want your life, or how can I do what Eric does? Like, what does it appeal to you about this stuff?
Yeah, so what appeals to me mostly is I look at life as a creative endeavor. I never grew up, sadly and unfortunately, with a real depth or influence in the arts. I didn't write or play music. I wasn't a painter or sculptor or an actor. I didn't do any of those artistic creations. But somewhere along the way, and maybe this was soccer. I played a lot of soccer. And when people play soccer in an extraordinary way, it is a little bit like a moving work of art. And I've often looked at sports as an artistic manifestation. When you look at a gymnast, for example, like flowing through the air, I mean, it is just beautiful. When you watch a rock climber that is just moving their body up a wall in a form of mastery, it's beautiful. And I've wanted to create beauty inside of how I move my body, how I connect with people, and how I connect with the physical world.
Yeah.
I mean, what is more beautiful than a sunrise and a sunset? I mean, it just doesn't get more beautiful in a lot of ways. What's more beautiful than seeing the ocean from 100 feet below the surface and watching the ecosystem of life like happening with each other? So I've always been attracted to learning about the natural world, learning about people, and then just seeing what's possible physically. And why not? Like, why wouldn't you do that? The only thing that stops people is a thought, a belief, a constraint. And then that's part of the attraction for me too, is once you realize that when there's that constraint that everybody is telling you and that voice in your head is telling you can't be done, when you overcome that, then you start to really open up to what's possible. I was a kid reading National Geographic, looking at the African savannah. I'll never forget this. I was like 9, 10. I don't exactly remember what year it was. I just remember the memory. I'm seeing these pictures and I'm like, I have to go to Africa. Like, I'm going to go see these animals. And then when I was in my early 20s, due to the money I made in the book business, I bought a plane ticket to go to Africa for months. Nobody did that. Everybody told me that was impossible. Nobody in my village of Green Bay, Wisconsin had gone to Kenya that I had known. And the ability to expand what's possible has been a really important theme in my life. And that's what I'm working on now. What I'm working on today is, what do I believe is impossible? What can't I do? And then stretching the boundaries on that. In relationships, as a parent, physically, in the companies that I'm running, like all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously apparent in your your quest to summit Mount Everest. I mean, you must have had to go through. I'd be interested in why you chose Everest, but also all the thoughts that went in your head, because I know something about you and heights that is so odd. How would those two be married? Your fear of heights and I'm gonna summit Everest. Like, tell us a little bit about that. Like, what's going on in your head?
Well, I'm legitimately, as you know, you've watched it, like deathly afraid of heights. And when I mean I'm afraid of heights, it's not a mental construct. It's like I feel like I'm going to throw up. I lose the power in my legs. I mean, there's a little rock by my house on a running trail. I was actually just there a couple of days ago last week. And you walk out on a path. It's not even narrow. It's like a couple feet wide. And then there's a cliff over a river canyon, and it's not scary. Like my kids just like run out there and back. And I just start to sweat. My legs shake. I'll take a field trip. I'm a 12-year-old soccer player, and I'm in camp at an amazing coach called Hubert Vogelsinger. He was the Austrian national coach. And back in the 80s, when I was growing up, he would travel and do soccer clinics for kids in the United States. And this was amazing to have a European world-class soccer coach like come to Wisconsin.
Legit, yeah.
It was amazing. It was really amazing and kind of blew all of our minds. But I got very fortunate. I got to go to this camp. And one of the things that he said during the camp was he said, you have to be able to have a vertical jump of 3 feet in order to make my team. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. My 12-year-old brain is arguing with him. It's going, well, that's stupid. What if you're incredibly fast? What if you have great ball skills? What if you have like all of the marquee characteristics of a great player, but you just can't jump 3 feet? You don't get to be on the team? Like, that's a ridiculous thing for a coach to do. So I raised my hand and I was like, well, what if you can't jump 3 feet tall? What if you can't do it? And he looked at me and I was in front of like 200 kids. And he goes, everybody that puts their mind to it and does the work can jump 3 feet tall. And at 12 years old, I didn't get the lesson. I was just like, no, they can't. Like, it was like, no, they can't. A couple of years later, I'm a freshman in college at the University of Wisconsin. I'm looking through the syllabus. On the syllabus is a marathon running class. And I'm like, what kind of crap is this? How can you have a class if not everybody can run a marathon? Like, what if somebody signs up for this class and can't run a marathon? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. Well, later I learn, like, virtually everyone, now even people with significant physical disabilities, and of course there's going to be some exceptions to this, but 99% of the freshmen at the University of Wisconsin can run a marathon. They just have to get their mind around it. They have to get their body around it. They're going to have to do some things differently, expand what's possible. I went to my first Ironman bunches of years later, and I was like, there's no way I could do the Ironman. Just impossible. Couldn't do it. And then I started watching people that were 20 years older than I was, 30 years older than I was, not anywhere near the athletic shape that I was in, crossing the finish line. And it took me years and years and years to really understand this concept that if you set your mind to it, if you obsess about what is possible and then work towards it, you can make things happen. If you have a 18-inch vertical jump and you need to make the team of 36 inches, you got to get to 19 inches. And when you get to 19 inches, you can get to 20. When you get to 20, you can get, and you build it and you build it and you build it. And if you visualize it and if you learn, you can do anything. I never thought that I could climb Mount Everest. First time I saw it, I was like, impossible, can't do it. Well, is that true? Is it really true that it's impossible? Have other people have done it? And I think that that is a skill that I was really blessed to have a lot of people literally retool the way that I thought about my life. And of course, a lot of things went really wrong. Like when I was growing up, one of the most important things that I wanted, you could tell me what is the marquee goal, is I wanted to be a great father and I wanted to be a great husband. I really wanted that was like core to me. And I had a very, very difficult first marriage. I wasn't happy in it. I wasn't thriving in it. I wasn't growing and expanding in it. And Michelle, my ex-wife, it wasn't her fault. She's not a bad person. It wasn't like, oh, I'm like married to this horrible person. It was, she wasn't the right person. I wasn't the right person. And it was very, very difficult. But I never, ever took my eye off the prize of I want to be an amazing husband and I want to have a great marriage. And then it wasn't until I met Sherry and I had, 20 years of being largely dysfunctional in relationships until I got that. But I didn't give up on it. And we're super psyched. I mean, I got like the sexiest, funnest, coolest traveling buddy that we're going to Fiji this weekend.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
2 weeks of free diving and to celebrate our anniversary and be in a love bubble for a couple weeks
That's
on a beach,
awesome.
on an island. I mean, it's like better than Everest. I would rather have this coming up week than I would Mount Everest.
Well, you've already done the Everest, right? You've proven you can do it. That's just so impressive. I mean, the newest challenge, you talked about that, right? Free diving. And I don't know. Can you explain what that is and why you find, what is it about this new kind of challenge for you that's different than Everest, right?
Yeah.
Or the Ironman or the other kind of, or creating a new business, that kind of thing.
Well, one of the things, before I talk about free diving, I think that one of the things that I picked up on really, really early that a lot of people and a lot of business people miss is that the strongest business people, the strongest salespeople, the strongest managers are the strongest people. So having 100% of my focus on work and on career is something I did for a long time. And that's a mistake. As I looked back on it, I spent most of my 20s working like 100 hours a week. Okay, well now I work 100 hours a week, but only 20 of them are on my businesses. Then I've got, the 20 to 40 hours a week that I spend on my family and my kids. And then I've got the 20 to 40 hours a week that I spend doing fitness type thing. I'm still putting in, from morning till night, but instead of putting it all of my eggs in one basket, I diversify what I'm doing with my energy and focus. And that actually makes me stronger by having a physical goal or an artistic goal or a community goal or a family goal, something outside of there. The best managers, the best salespeople are going to be the most well-rounded humans. And I think that that's a really, really big deal. So one of the things that has attracted me to sports is it keeps me healthy. I don't like going to the gym actually at all. And I really love hearing about people that go lift weights or they go on the treadmill. And I'm just not that guy. I hate it. So I don't do it because nobody does what they hate. We just don't. And you can try to cultivate discipline towards something you're not passionate about, but it's way, way, way easier to cultivate momentum and enthusiasm in something that you like to do.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. Sense.
So I will go to the gym if I'm training for something. Like when I needed to put on 30 pounds for Everest, I'd have to go to the gym. I had to lift some weights, but that's pretty rare.
Yep.
So in my mind, I have what I call a keystone goal, which has a professional, a physical, and then either a financial or relationship component of it at all times. Yeah.
That's good.
So part of my keystone right now is free diving.
There we go. Free diving is like holding your breath as long as you can underwater. I mean, there's more to it than that, right?
It is. Think of scuba diving without the tank. So you take a breath at the surface and then you swim down and then experience the ocean, the lake, wherever we're diving. And then you have to make it back up to the surface before you black out. That's the goal.
Yes, that is the goal. So far, you've been successful, and I hope you continue.
100% success. I have not blacked out.
That's great. Wow, that's a new challenge. And you've obviously, I know that we've done breath work at times where where my belief of how much air I could hold at one particular time was 30 seconds to maybe a minute.
Maybe a minute.
And then after, a series of exercises and, physical breathing exercises and getting our mind in a certain place. I think it was 3 minutes that I was holding it and didn't even realize that much time went by. And I just blew my mind. And you've got to get yourself in a place a mental place to be able to go under, because there's a lot of stress when you're underwater and going, I've got to breathe. How do you push past that? I mean, anyways, that's really awesome.
Well,
I
this
can't
is a
wait
really
till-
fun thing to do. And this is actually part of the intro to me. So I'll share it with everybody listening. If you're listening, do it now, do it later, do it whenever. Find out how long you can hold your breath. Just get your phone out, put a clock on, and take a breath, and even try to hold it. And time yourself. Most people will be somewhere in that 30 to 60-second range. Some people that have either done breath holding before, or their athletic background, or whatever it is, maybe you can do 2 minutes. Some people won't even get to 20 seconds. That's not even important. The important part is that you have a baseline. And a lot of people, especially if they have the 2-minute breath hold up front, they get this big, awesome ego, and they're like, oh yeah, look at what a stud I am. Okay, I was at a minute. But what's important is not where you start. What's important is, what is the potential? Where can you go through expanding technique, through expanding intention, through expanding mindset? David, you talked about it. There's an exercise that we do at the Abundant Living Retreat frequently. We don't always do it, but a lot of times we'll have people hold their breath, and then 20 minutes later, I teach people how to have a 300% increase in their ability to hold their breath, which is crazy. In 20 minutes, you can change something that you've been doing your entire life to make yourself 300% more effective. And I was taught that. And when I was taught that, it started to blow my mind as to what's possible. In Fiji next week, I think I'll be cracking 5 minutes underwater. Yeah, I'm at 4:45 right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's just more serious than when you are sitting in a room where at any point you could just go, and life's fine. Underwater, there's just extra stakes. I mean, you just like to take risks.
Well, see, now I would debate that.
Well, okay.
I would totally debate that. I don't think I take risks at all. I have a high threshold for failure. That I will agree. 7-8% of the people that die on Mount Everest make mistakes. And they make fatal mistakes. Almost all car crashes. And the hundreds of thousands of people that die every, all of these years are making a mistake. They're on their phone, they're drinking and driving, they're making mistakes. So I believe in pushing boundaries, but I also, and you know this about me, believe in turning back. I believe in extreme caution. I actually don't find myself a risk taker at all. The safety that we have set up freediving, the controls that we have, the training that goes in on the front end are really, really important. I have a great friend. His name is Matthias, Super Frenchy. If you're watching this, Google Super Frenchy. He's a really, really dear friend of mine in town. This guy climbs mountains, skis down almost impossible skiing routes, and then flies off a cliff with a backpack that has a parachute in it. The climbing is almost no one can climb these mountains. The skiing is almost no one can do these ski runs in the world. And then the climbing to skiing to base jumping, he's one of a couple people on the planet that can do this.
I feel like I think I might have seen a video. Maybe you showed it to me. I can't remember.
He has the most watched GoPro in history. His GoPro video has been watched 2 billion times. He's got an avalanche chasing him and he flies off. And one of the things that Matthias says is he's don't call me an adrenaline junkie. He's when I'm doing my job, when I'm focused, there's no adrenaline because I'm focused and calculated and I've mastered not only the skill do I need, but the risk and the scenarios so it's not risky. When I hold my breath for 5 minutes underwater, I promise there will be very little if no risk at it.
Okay. Well, so then let me rephrase the question I was gonna ask. I'm trying to figure out how to rephrase it. So for someone who's thinking about stepping out of a comfort zone and pushing themselves to a new level of understanding about themselves professionally, in sales or as a leader or in the physical realm, what advice would you have for them?
Yeah.
Or what steps could they take to take that next step?
I was taught this by Dan Millman. I love this question. This is a really important question. This might be the biggest takeaway that people listening get here is when you're assessing risk and fear, break it into 2 components. that which is emotional and that which is physical. When there's physical peril on the back of it, like you jump off the cliff and then break your neck, like you invest the money and then the money is gone, like you have a vehicle and then the vehicle is destroyed. When there's physical peril that's involved, be overly cautious. Because broken backs, lost money, destroyed equipment, destroyed lives, physical, are very, very difficult and slow to recover on. When the risk and the fear and the detriment are emotional, then blast through and just go for it. Make yourself look stupid in front of everybody. Risk getting your feelings hurt. Risk having your ego be wrong. Risk trying something that everybody laughs at you. That is, it's the best, fastest way to improve. Because the feedback is so visceral on an emotional basis that you will compensate quickly and you will learn quickly. In sales, one of the best things that I could have ever done as a salesperson is when I was 18 years old, do 30 presentations a day. Because I would get wrong, 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 wrong. Right, we got one right. Okay, wrong, 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 right. And it toughened me up emotionally to be able to then get out of my own comfort zone as a sales leader, as a coach, as a parent. When you see people failing, praise their ability to emotionally handle it. Get away from the technical aspect of it and focus on what was the feeling that the person had, especially with kids. When kids mess up with things, they look to others to how they should feel. So my little boy, my 12-year-old, actually came home with a bloody face yesterday. Yeah, he was all like full of blood. His nose was all cut up. He had a black eye. He was like, yeah, it was proper. And I see him, he gets in the car and he's full of blood. And I'm like, what happened, buddy? I have no idea what happened. So I don't jump to any conclusions. And he's like, yeah, I got hit in the face really hard playing ultimate frisbee. Now, the first thing that I did was just shut up and listen. And I said, how did that feel? What was your experience? What most people will do watching somebody, whether it's in a selling situation, whether they're performing on stage, whether it's their kids in sports or art or bloody nose on the playground, is they will immediately impose their feelings and interpretation on the experience to the other person. So if I immediately go, oh my God, what happened to you? What's wrong? To my kid as he gets in as a 12-year-old sits in the car, he's now imprinting something is wrong. Because I'm asking him what's wrong. I'm neuroprogramming him to think that having a face that's all messed up is wrong. His response to me, I loved. He's like, it was awesome, Dad. I took it right in the face and it hurt for a little bit. I shook it off and everybody thinks that I'm super tough now.
Ah, great.
Yeah, you get hit in the face. Muhammad Ali gets hit in the face. If you're listening to this, you get hit in the face, emotionally or figuratively or whatever it is. Do you want that experience to be a bad one, to be a damaging one, to be a traumatic one? I actually gave my Everest talk to a group of fifth graders recently.
Cool.
And part of that story is, everybody knows anything about Everest, is walking over dead bodies. Like, there's dead bodies. And I watched somebody die on the mountain right in front of me. The fifth grader asks me, was that traumatic? And for me, it wasn't traumatic at all. Because I understood what happened, I understood the decisions that were made, and there wasn't trauma. So being around people that are failing, that are coming up short, is a collective experience. On your sales team, on your sports team, on your family, how you deal with that, the quality of the conversation, what it means, what are the takeaways. This is what creates the imprint mentally. Because everybody's going to fail. I fail, you fail. I've wrecked relationships. I've made mistakes financially. I've done all of those things. And then what happens next is what determines what happens next.
Yeah. That's good.
Does that make
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was good. That was more than I was planning for an answer. I loved it. It just made me think. Yesterday, I was chatting with my son about a soccer tryout, and I said something similar. I said, "Hey, I want you to go out and I want you to make the biggest mistakes and make them huge. right? Just go for it and make the
Go for
biggest
it.
possible mistakes.
Yep.
And I didn't add more to the reason why I was thinking that, but I just know that making this mistakes, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, you actually get better when you push yourself to make those mistakes. So I love this whole talk about that. And you know, you've made mistakes. I know that. I've been around with the mistakes that you've made, right? And you've seen me make mistakes. There's no reason, there's the only way you've been able to have multi-million-dollar business and companies that you've helped start is because you've made lots of mistakes. You know, whether it's at Freedom Personal Development or as co-founder of Hum Kombucha, what do you believe has allowed you to accomplish that? Right?
Yeah.
Is it more than, it's more than just mistakes, but I mean,
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. But if anybody said, Eric, what is the skill set or the mindset that if you had to lose it, you'd want it to be the last to go? Like, you know, if I look at my mindset and my skill set as assets, like what is the one that I hold on to the most? It's two things. And it's the same thing, but with two manifestations. The first one is I absolutely believe that people can become great. I believe that everybody has miraculous amounts of talent, miraculous amounts of capability, miraculous amounts of impact that they can make. Everybody. It's not a couple people. It's not just Kobe Bryant. It's not just Muhammad Ali. It's not just, you know, the lead singer. It's not just Taylor Swift. It's not just amazing people. It's everybody can be truly, truly great. I was coaching a CEO recently, and she's scaling her business from a multi-million-dollar company to she wants to be like $20-50 million company. I'm like, great. So as I'm talking to her, what I said was, you don't scale the company, you scale the people that work in the company. So for the company at Hum, when we were a couple $100,000 local business here in Bend, to become in every Walmart and Costco's and Targets all across the country, we didn't scale the glass bottle or the liquid that went into it. We scaled who we were as people, expanding what was possible, able to climb higher, able to dig deeper emotionally. And a big part of that is the ability to forgive and the ability to admit when you're wrong. And people hate doing that. We don't set great examples for what genuine amends make with people and the ability to forgive. And both of those are for me. When you and I have stubbed our toe before, and we've done it around other people. People have made pretty egregious mistakes to me and have harmed me. Okay, good. My forgiving them is not for them. It's for me. Sherry wrote something to me a long time ago. It was one of the reasons I knew I was going to marry her when I read this. She said, forgiveness is one of the most important acts to understand that the world doesn't just revolve around you. That other people make mistakes, and when you forgive, it's about understanding that we're all in this together and that people are going to make mistakes around you, big and small.
That's great.
Yeah. So my ability, and this has been cultivated by example and by mentoring and being mentored and having running mates like you, to really believe. When we were, you and I are in the cenote with scuba tanks on.
We're going to go there.
Yeah, we're going there. We're going there right now. We're in the cenote and we get in. This is a great story. So David knows this is a story. I'm telling this for all you guys. We're in the cenote. We drop down the rope and we're like in a cave, but we're on the surface and we've got our scuba tanks on. And David's a new scuba diver. And you immediately started hyperventilating.
I was having a panic attack.
You're having a total panic attack on the surface of the water. Now, in that moment, this is the moment of truth for you, and it's the moment of truth for me. I could be on that surface going, what a pussy. Come on, David. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I could have that sort of mental talk, but it's not cussing, by the way, if I'm quoting my like bad self.
Yeah, there we go.
That's just, okay. Or I can look at you and I can realize, wow, you're doing something extraordinary right now. Like right now is not a moment of weakness. This is a moment of courage. This is the moment where you are out of your comfort zone. And do I believe in you? Do I believe that you can recover and actually have a dive that we can both do safely and have a good time? And what do? We looked each other in the eye. We believed in each other. You believed in me. I believed in you. We breathed together. And then we had a kick-ass dive.
That's right.
That's what we did.
There was trust too, as the leader and the mentor in that moment. There was trust that anything you were going to give me, I felt safe in exploring. And then there was, to your point, courage. I knew that had I not given it my best shot to try and overcome this panic, I would have regretted the attempt to not. I might have just said I can't do it, but I wasn't going to not do it because I wasn't going to try. And so I trusted you to help me. And it's amazing. It was like instant once we breathed. And then once I breathed a little closer to the water, and then I got under the water and I was still fine. And then that tiny crevice that looked so terrifying immediately expanded because I was in the right place. And so, yeah, that's a great example of, courage and trust, I think, in that moment.
Really, really important. Whether you're in a business environment, whether you're on a sports team, whether you're parenting, whether you're dating, married, there's going to be that moment where the person in front of you freaks out. And when they freak out, you can judge them and criticize them for not being strong enough, for being weak, or you can see what's possible and you can champion the fact that they have stepped out of their comfort zone. That's a really, really, really critical moment. And that only can happen with consistency and with durability and with reliability if you know that that's what you can do yourself. This is where it turns around. So now when I freak out, when I'm on the cliff on Mount Everest and I want to throw up and my knees are knocking, I have to go. Are you being weak, or are you stepping out of your comfort zone in a way that's now going to lead you to greatness? And people, look yourself in the mirror today and tell yourself you're great. Tell yourself that you're amazing and that you're capable and that you're contributing. Because when you tell yourself that over and over and over again, this is not an act of ego. This is an act of recognition. Because you are great. Why deny it? The bigger act of ego is the negative self-talk, the negative, I'm not enough. That is the egoic separate mind standing out. Well, I'm not good enough. I'm this, I'm unique. I suck. I'm depressed. Okay, why choose that one?
Mm-hmm.
We all have an identity. Inside of that identity, your being strong is a better impact to your community. Your being capable is a better impact to your team. Your being amazing is a better impact to your company. So do that. And then you will elevate and get to hang out with cooler, stronger, more capable people that mentor you.
Yeah.
There's never a top of the ladder, ever.
Yeah, especially because you're not perfect at everything. And there's always going to be someone who's an expert above you in some area of your life that you want to strive to be closer to. And I think one of your gifts, and it's through lots of work. I know you've been through the struggle. You've been through it. Even before I knew you, I know of the challenges you've went through. But so much of what you do is about challenging beliefs, is about questioning your thoughts and not judging them. And that leads to kind of this abundant living retreat that I talked about earlier. And I'd love to talk a little bit about it, because some of the people on this call, I think, could really benefit from what we're going to share here about it, and then also maybe even experiencing it. I've experienced it how many times now, Eric?
I don't know, a bunches.
Would you tell us a little bit about the Abundant Living Retreat that you created, or we created, or however you want to put it? Right?
Yeah,
And
we
how
all,
it came about?
you were there. Yeah, we created it. So this was at a phase, this was a lot of years ago, 12, 14 years ago, 15 years ago, where I was hitting it. I was doing triathlons, I was climbing mountains, I was building my company, and a mentor of mine challenged me. She said, if you could create any sort of an event for people to share this process and the work that you do, what would it look like? And it was literally like a download. I didn't even think about it. It was like it just came out of me in like 30 seconds. I said it would be 4 days long. It would be longer than a weekend, so we could really dive in shorter than a week so that people could get there, get away from their families, get away from their work. But 4 days is perfect. We would completely unplug. No phones, no technology, no contact with the outside world, no work responsibilities, and just work on ourselves. Because that's so incredibly important, to be able to focus. People have an incredible ability of accomplishing things when they focus on it, and when our world is super distracted. It was 15 years ago and it is today. And we would work on our physical bodies, we'd work on our mental capabilities, and we'd work on our emotional platform. Mind, body, emotion, get it all together. And it would allow people to unpack two things. One is where they could see farther than they could see right now. Just what would your life be like, I asked, if you could make 50% more money than you're making now? Of course you can. It's not like, oh, can I? Of course you can do that. Like, you can make 10 times as much money as you're making right now. You can jump way higher than you think is possible. Bring all of these lessons together. What would it be like if you could double the amount of intimacy you feel with your spouse? Emotionally, like really open yourself out, physically, sexually, mentally. Everybody wants to do that. Who doesn't want that? I want that. You want that. So what if you could do that? What would that look like? What if you could make a bigger impact in your communities? Okay, this is all good. It's good as a role model for your kids. The reason that I knew I had to get divorced was because I was setting a role model for my kids that I did not want them to follow. They were 2 and 5 years old. And I knew that my wife, Michelle, and I were not the right people for each other. Did I want to model that for my kids as they grew up? That's not what I wanted to model at all. So what we've done is we've stayed friends. We've stayed very close. We live a couple miles from each other, and we model what it's like to be loving, connected parents in multiple households. And it's really a blast, and we really love it.
Yeah.
And Sherry and I and the kids and Michelle and her boyfriend are all going to Hawaii this summer.
Gosh, that's great.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a party.
That's awesome.
So in abundant living, it's like, what would it be like? And when is the last time that a person took 4 days to just go deep into what is possible in their lives? So expanding out, and then everyone, me, you, everybody listening, has injuries, mentally, emotionally, physically, has things that need to heal up, things that need to be processed. Sherry leads some of the most incredible breath work. You've seen this before, where people literally remove trauma, physical, mental, emotional trauma, just through breathing, which is profound. Couple that with a group of 60, 80 people, 100 people that are doing it together, and there's a collective energy of commonality and of diversity. Some people are young, some people are old, men and women, some people have kids and families, some people don't. Sharing all of that life together and locking yourself up for 4 days, it changes people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, attendance is nuts. Retreat. This has been great. I mean, and obviously, which one, I'm one. I think this last one, I might have missed one out of all of them.
Yeah,
two. They've routinely, their lives have been transformed. I mean, that's not an understatement.
Yeah, we don't market the retreat. We don't advertise for it. We don't have a sales team. We don't have anything like that. To go to the retreat, people can learn about it at abundantlivingretreat.com. And then they would have to reach out to you or reach out to me. That's the other thing. People do not get how accessible people are. My favorite authors, Dan Millman, Stephen Mitchell, Brian Tracy. When I was a kid, I just reached out to them. And they emailed me back. If you guys want to email me, I'm planetfreedom@gmail.com. Send me an email. Send Augmentino. When I was a kid, reading Greatest Salesman in the World, I hand wrote Augmentino a letter, and then he wrote me back.
That's great.
It was amazing. Okay, so most people won't do it though. They'll listen to it and they'll never write back. I promise, if you write me an email, Eric or planetfreedom@gmail.com, ask me a question, say hello, I'm here for you.
That's true.
And yeah, that takes a lot of time. If you want to go to Abundant Living, you can't just register. You have to get to know someone. You have to be invited.
Yeah, that's good.
Join our crew. We want smart, hardworking, expanded people. I want to know you. I want to know anybody that's on that.
That's awesome. So great. You guys have a way to reach him? LinkedIn's probably another way. You got the email. Yep. Tell me, say the email again.
planetfreedom@gmail.com.
There we go. I mean, I know him, but I know he's like this with anybody he interacts with. Eric, go back to that whole first quote about Muhammad Ali, right? I mean, he's really paying the rent all the time serving people. This has been so great. Eric, thank you for the time. Thank you for the energy. Is there any last thought you have as we wrap up our time?
Yeah, my last thought is you are awesome. I
Yeah.
love hanging out with you.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we got
Whether
to
we're
do it again.
talking like this or whether we're on the Nile sailing or doing whatever we're doing, the books you've written, David, are amazing. I give them to all my grandkids. The impact that you make in people's lives. Everybody watching this show right now is lucky to know you. They should stick with it episode after episode. You bring so much goodness to people's lives. I totally love you, and I'm just really glad to be your friend.
Love you too. Thank you so much, Eric. This has been great. So reach out to Eric. Stay tuned for the next Ace show. I believe we might be having either Roger Sipe or Miriam Laundry, who's Miriam Laundry Publishing, the person who taught me how to create my own books. These are
Yay.
amazing aces, and I hope you all ace your life. Thanks so much.